world's greatest marques, designed and built by the world's finest designers. Built out of passion and desire to be the best, and primed for the pursuit of out-and-out speed. Such are the tools of the 2013 GT Asia Championship. 8 months of grueling competition at Asia's most iconic and demanding circuits, starting at the perennial home of GT racing, Japan, and ending at the greatest circuit of them all, the mighty Macau Grand Prix. Let's look back now on the highlights of a truly spectacular 2013 GT Asia Championship. Six iconic venues and 11 rounds of racing, starting at the Twin-Rin Motegi circuit in Japan. Then on to Okayama circuit again in Japan, and we stay in Japan to the former Formula One circuit of Fuji International Speedway. Sepang's up next, another current Formula One circuit in Malaysia. Then it's on to Zhuhai International Circuit in China. And the season finishes, somewhat appropriately, at the Gear circuit at the famous street race of Macau. But we start here in Japan. The Twin-Rin Motegi race weekend was the first time the full GT field had gathered for the long season ahead. And as you'd expect in Japan, photos were key. But this year's lineup was quite a picture. Not only the latest offerings from Ferrari, McLaren, Porsche, Aston Martin, Ford, Lamborghini and Audi, but a combination of professionals and gentleman drivers, the quality of which has never been higher in the history of sports car racing in the region. So let's take a closer look at those drivers, starting with current GT Asia champion Mok Wen Sung of Singapore.
Obviously, having won with the Ferrari in the first season, I decided that, look, I definitely want to see whether I can defend the title. So we've done it 2 in a row now. The McLaren was on order already 18 months ago, so it came into our hands a few months ago. This will be the first race weekend. New car, but same driver and same crew, same team. So looking forward to another good season in the GT Asia series.
Pushing him all the way last year was China's up-and-coming star, Li Zikong, or Peter as he's known. He'll be returning once again in his Porsche 997.
This year I will be much better because I know the car very well and my team have more information to set the car pretty well.
This year, of course, we're aiming to get the championship in our pocket. As last year, Peter finished second in the championship, so of course still a little bit of improvement from him, from the team as well. But we're definitely looking forward to a great achievement this year.
Hong Kong's Frank Yu has one of the most talked about cars and combinations this year. In the appropriately numbered 007, he's with Aston Martin, and he's partnering up with European factory Aston Martin driver, Germany's Stefan Mu. Now, Aston Martin are celebrating their 100th anniversary this year, so here in Asia, they're out to celebrate in style.
We switched to the Aston Martin Vantage GT3 this year from the Ford GT. Actually, the Aston is one of the best cars that we've had with the team so far. And we are also the regional technical partner with Aston Martin Racing, so we're getting a lot of support from the factory.
Well, it's interesting. It's a great championship, and you see a lot of nice cars in the grid, and it's really nice to fight against all these big manufacturers.
The Audi R8 is back with Hong Kong's Billy Fung and Asai Akira of Japan.
I hope that I can do well, and hope that I will support that Billy will do well, and just see how it goes.
I'm the oldest in the team. I hope that I can maintain my performance and closing the gap between my partner.
Welcome back, and on then to qualifying for round 1 of the 2013 GT Asia Series. Slightly windy but dry conditions luckily at the start of qualifying, but the rain was looming. Still learning the track, but it was the Aston Martin Vantage with the pole time of 1:52.284 for round 1, race 1.
It started a bit to rain, but we were lucky to put in a lap time quite early in the session, and what was enough for P1.
For the Audi 888 of Francis Onda and Alex Young, it was far from the start they wanted. An excursion into the gravel, and a few problems during qualifying put them down to a surprising 7th place for the start of the first race with a time of 1:54.323. On the other hand, another Audi R8, that of Philip Ma, and newcomer Chen Kongfu of China were definitely delighted with their 6th place overall for the first race.
Yeah, it's my first time in the R8 doing the qualify, so it's a pretty new and a good experience for me and for the future.
A change of tyre pressures and a few adjustments for the weather, and it was on to qualifying 2. This time though, the weather had definitely turned. It was wet. Not easy for the drivers, both learning the circuit and their new cars. But a brilliant job done by the champion, Mok Wen-sung. A superb 1:54.032 in the McLaren.
I tell you, what an interesting grid. I was P8 in Q1 and I had pole for Q2. It's just absolutely amazing. It shows how the series has grown, the different number of strong challenges that we have in the series here.
Right behind him, his young, hard-charging rival in the Porsche 997, Li Zikong of China, a 1:54.525.
I got a second position, both two. So hope this afternoon I got good race.
So the ultimate challenge to start the season: wet weather, a tricky circuit in Japan, and new cars. Let's take a look at what happened in round 1. Well, the weather didn't change, and that meant a wet setup for all the drivers and teams. And in fact, the conditions were worse than they were in qualifying, so there was a few nerves out there to start the season off. Rolling start though, so that would make things a little bit easier to get away. But the conditions just didn't improve, and in fact, as we raced off and the lights went to green, you can see the spray pouring up behind. And the Aston Martin Vantage of Stefan Mute taking the lead on board with Mok Wen-sung. You can see how bad the conditions were. A lot of horsepower. Chen Kongfu though, carving his way through despite the conditions, going past the Lamborghini here. Li Zikong looking good in the Porsche. Can't be said the same though for Alex Young in the R8. An off-track excursion and a clash with another car means a broken suspension.
That Frankie, our other teammate in the Audi, came up behind me and thought we were racing, so tried to do a bit of a risky move down the inside of me in turn 6, and we clashed. And unfortunately it broke the suspension, so that was us out of the race.
Still a long season ahead for the Audi. Back to the race and more spins, this time in the GTM class. Wayne Shen coming together with Francis Thier.
You literally couldn't see anything. I actually almost got motion sickness because I had no visibility and the car is moving. So that was tough.
And I think coming out of the last corner, he spun right in front of me and I almost hit him. So it was like, my eyes went like this big. So to avoid him, then both of us had to go off the track.
Luckily, Wayne Shen made it back out for Modena Motorsports, and the Porsche was in fine form, passing one of the Ferraris here into the right-hander. Sadly for Hisao Shigeta in direction racing, the Japanese not able to start with engine problems, and also problems for the number 2 here, Li Zikong in his pit stop.
I cannot start the car because the clutch have some problem, but it's very lucky we fixed the problem, and I can go back the truck again.
With a little assistance, he did get started. Plenty of controversy then for the young Chinese. Jeffrey Lee strapped in a lot of pressure though, and he succumbed to it, literally aquaplaning off the track in the R8. Luckily keeping the engine going.
For us, we are suffering a lot in terms of straight speed and engine power, and this truck having a lot of straights, we are losing quite a lot of time.
But really, no one can blame him for those conditions. Not an easy situation whatsoever. Tanku Haman and Charlie Rowe were doing well. Tanku Haman up to 2nd place, past Frank Yu into 3rd. Mok Wen-sung at the time in 4th, but then Mok was on the charge as well. The McLaren easing past the Aston Martin. Clearwater Racing delighted with that move, and even more so coming out of the mist. The McLaren moving in to 2nd place in the closing stages. But victory was never in doubt for Li Zikong in the Porsche 997. The man who was runner-up in the championship last year starts the season in 2013 as he means to go on with a win. Much to the delight of Philippe Decombe and the rest of the team. Still a very young competitor. Great job though by the champion, Mok Wen-sung. Onto the podium then for round 1, as we now head to the review of round 2. Much better conditions, as you can see, for round 2, which meant we might finally see these GT Asia cars in their full brilliance. The McLaren on the front row. Good crowd as always in Japan, another rolling start. And the Aston Martin on the left-hand side trying to get through, the McLaren trying to hold off, but it was the Porsche. We go on board with Tangku Haman getting nudged at the first corner. And there was more to come. Frank Yu getting involved with Delantha Malagamua as they do a little bit of nudging.
But Delantha, of course, he's a very experienced driver, and his car got twice the size, so it was really difficult to pass.
And the nudging and barging continued between the two of them. Here they are, side by side into turn 1. Finally, the Vantage taking the advantage. Malagamua himself would eventually spin out. The Sri Lankan driver, though, will be back with that big smile, I'm sure, in the 24 Audi. Plenty of good racing. Shigeta making his way finally onto the grid and scything his way from the back of the field right to the front. This time passing Tangku Haman Sulong. Shigeta in a battle with Frank Yu. Shigeta winning out in the Porsche. Meanwhile, out front, Li Zikong of Asia Racing doing a brilliant job again. Coming into the pits for his pit stop.
Because yesterday I got a first position, so today I need to wait 10 seconds more in the pit stop. So maybe losing a little bit time, and when I came out the truck, I'm in the second position.
Meanwhile, Mok Wen-sung was under pressure from Stefan Mute in Craft Racing's Aston Martin, and through went the Aston Martin with ease on Mok. And the German was on fire in the dry conditions, scything his way through. Meanwhile, at the front, Li Zikong was pushing Shigeta hard, and Mute was coming fast, perhaps a little too fast, as he takes Li Zikong out of the race. Controversial overtake, but it stuck. And then the Aston Martin went in pursuit of the Porsche of Shigeta of Japan, and Shigeta, though, succumbed under pressure on his own, so made it easy for the German, and that's how it finished in round 2. Aston Martin, celebrating its 100th anniversary, celebrates its first win in 2013 in Asia. Meanwhile, in the GTM class, it was all smiles for the Japanese as they win in their 458.
The race. But it was alright. I was able to overtake some cars, and one car spun ahead of me, the leading Porsche, which was quite a nice thing. Makes it easy for me. Yeah, but alright, it was good, and we finished in P1, and so we are really happy.
I'm very grateful to be P1, and hopefully I can win the race again.
Well, the first 2 rounds definitely had everything. Wet and dry, and great wins in both classes. This is the 3rd round of the championship, and it's hotting up nicely already. Different conditions at every place we've been to so far. New cars, new driver lineups, and different ballasts once again for the 3rd round, which will be tricky around this tight Okayama circuit. And with the compensation timing and different drivers, it's key to get a good starting position for the racers. As the cars headed out, it was no surprise to see the German, Stefan Muka, getting a time of 1:31.9 for Craft Racing to go fastest.
Yes, a great result. Team did a great job. Found a really good setup during testing and free practice, and the car is running very good here. It's
also going very well here, the Lamborghini combination of Charles and Hamann. Tangguh Hamann lining up with the former single-seater driver to good effect. Second overall, a 1:32.9, and Clearwater Racing right where they need to be. Some good performances as well. Further down in the GTM class, the number 88 Japanese combination going well again to get the pole.
Pole lap, but it's somehow the GTM class this year is getting really competitive.
The number 98 Chen Kong Fu in the Audi spinning it round, but still with a 1:33.4, fast enough to go 6th overall.
Didn't go my way, to be honest, and I'm disappointed. And we had some problems with ABS, so which is cost me a lot of time, and I almost went out. Actually, I had to spin, and
no such problems though for the other Audi, the 888 of Alex Young of Malaysia and Francis Hideki Honda of Japan. On then to qualifying 2, similar conditions for racing. And qualifying for this one, and the McLaren looking very good indeed. Fastest man out there, 1:33.077, Mok Wen-sung. Third fastest, Li Zikong, 1:34.0. And squeaking into second place was the Aston Martin of Frank Yu. Great job done to second place.
On the third sector, there was a car slowing down, so that destroyed my lap. But our decision was to save the tires for the race, so I came back in happy on the front row anyway.
Congratulations then to Frank Yu. And also well done to Jeffrey Lee. His combination with Marchie Lee has put them up to 4th place overall. And the number 17 in the GTM class, Naru of Japan, in 7th place, and delighted. So the McLaren, the fastest car out there. Resplendent looking red and silver McLaren, the latest spec from the factory in Woking. On then to the third round as we look back at the action from round 3. Spirits up then for the racing itself. A lot of drama to unfold. Conditions much better than they were in the first 2 rounds. And away we went. The rolling start, remember. And the Aston Martin right in the thick of it as we look back from the German in the Aston Martin. The Audi's chasing him down, so too the Lamborghini. Charlet, everybody cleanly through the opening gamuts, and it was the Aston Martin that led early on. Pulling away at the front as we go on board with GTM's Azuma. Look at that! Big, big reaction as he misses a car spinning round. That was great driving. Not an easy thing to do. Li Zikong overtaken here. Rather pensive Philippe Ducombe. And the fastest lap going, a 1:33.072 to Stefan Muka of Germany in the Aston Martin as Frank Yu watches on, knowing that he's got to try and compete with that. Alex Young looking good in 3rd place, challenging Charlet in the Lamborghini, in the Audi, and enjoying the competition between the two of them. Chen Kong Fu had that problem with the brakes. It doesn't look as though he's having it in the race itself. They've certainly sorted it. Muka came out and in went Frank Yu. And obviously the German had done the business, and now it was up to Frank to finish it off. Problems for Billy Fung, a spin there for the number 88 in his Audi. But I'm sure he could keep that going. And he did. And Hiroshi Hamaguchi watching on as this battle, Mok Wen-sung very aggressive on Jeffrey Lee, perhaps a little too aggressive, but Mok well known for it, but that's why he's a champion, he's determined. And Jeffrey Lee though, fighting away with Li Zikong of Asia Racing, and that was the battle for 4th place. Li Zikong going through. Then a drive-through penalty for car number 11. But in the end, it was Frank Yu who tidily took the Aston Martin to victory. An excellent job done by the man from Hong Kong. Thumbs up from Stefan Muka of Germany. The combination really proving potent here in Asia. Frank Yu delighted to be part of this wonderful team for Aston Martin. Let's take a look then at round 4. Thumbs up again, and conditions again. Good. Plenty of interest from the Japanese as the green flag waved. It was once again the McLaren this time leading him into the first corner, but Muka was up there. Li Zikong in the thick of it early on. Naru just holding off in the GTM class. The Aston Martin slotting into second place. Frank Yu it was who did the early stint. They swapped round this time. So Frank Yu trying to set the pace early on, but losing out and dropping to third here. Then came the pit stops. Tangku Haman Sarong coming in. Frank Yu coming in to change to Stefan Muka. And the battle was on. A much more frenetic battle this was in round 4. Yes, everyone praying for the right result. Mok Wen-sung and Li Zikong going head to head. Mok up the inside here in the McLaren and into the lead. Then came the Aston Martin, lights blazing, as Muka made his way through and Frank watched on his teammate. Then a great battle between Hiroshi Hamaguchi and Stefan Muka. As Muka tries to go round the outside and Hamaguchi's having none of it. Up the inside this time. And that's a much stronger move, and Frank Yu delighted with that one. And Hamaguchi wasn't finished, and he comes up to the inside this time and nudges the German wide. Tough move. Learned that one from Mok, I'm sure. But Muka wasn't done either. Still pushing in the closing stages into the right-hander, and Muka pays it back. If you can do it, I can do it just as hard. And Frank Yu delighted with that. And the German would not be denied. What a great battle that turned out to be in round 4. Fantastic race for the 4th round. But it's Aston Martin who wins out again, with Stefan Muka of Germany winning it out for he and Frank Yu. Well, that 100-year celebration looking very good indeed. Naru and Azuma winning GTM as well. Mark Goddard delighted. Congratulations then to a fantastic run in round 4. Fuji Speedway, Japan. Perfect venue to go GT racing. Take a look at the action from rounds 5 and 6. And as they headed out for the first of 2 qualifying sessions, conditions were perfect. Fuji is a tricky circuit to learn, but for most of the drivers, they've raced here before and there's plenty of data to draw on. No question that pole position would be hard fought again for both qualifying sessions, one for round 5 and one for round 6. The Aston Martins, as always, quick with Stefan Muka at 1:41 to take the pole in the first session. P2 going to Hamaguchi and Clearwater Racing for the McLaren. On to qualifying 2. And again, perfect conditions. Great to see Darrell O'Young back in Asia as he has a quick chat with the factory Aston Martin driver from Germany, Stefan Muka. Akira Lida coming into the championship, Japanese star, doing a time 1:41.8 in the number 91. Really has taken the Fuji Speedway by storm. Mok Wen-sung, P2 at 1:42.3, slightly slower in the McLaren. And the 007 right up there in 3rd place with Frank Yu. Francis Ye doing well in GTM, a 1:45.4, a respectable time for the Porsche driver from Hong Kong. On then to the race itself and a look at what happened in round 5. A rolling start, of course. Good conditions again for the race itself. And at the start, it was Aston Martin leading the way again. Frank Yu at the wheel, holding off the McLaren. Try to go round the outside. Chen Kongfu slotting into 4th place. And check the Lamborghini on the inside here, pushing Archie Lee wide. Luckily, the Hong Kong driver able to recover.
And avoiding contact with some cars, and then just kind of got lost momentum and kept going back one at a time. And it was a really tough first lap.
Former Porsche champion and World Touring Car star Darrell O'Young of Hong Kong coming into the championship for the first time and finding his way. But it didn't take long to get into the rhythm. Past Aida for 8th position here. Plenty of overtaking and some a little too aggressive maybe. Jolantha Malagamua spun round by one of the Porsches. And another aggressive move here by Roe Charles for Clearwater, but he spins round in the Lamborghini.
Battling, and I took too much curb and a spun.
With the pit window open, in came the Aston Martin and the McLaren. A lot of the GT3s choosing to avoid the traffic that was still out there.
You know, the Cup car is so fast on the straight, so very difficult to overtake, so losing a little bit time on overtake slow cars.
But that's the nature of the game, and Li Zikong in the number 2 on the right-hand side, siding through past the number 98 in this instance, and choosing the same part of the circuit to do the same again, this time on Jeffrey Lee in the Audi. But Li Zikong knows what he's doing and made it stick. Jeffrey Lee, though, wasn't out of the wars. More drama to come for him, and a black flag here for number 16. Wayne Shen's race over early for Modena Motorsports. Back on board with Jeffrey Lee, and here's the big incident for him, coming together with the number 5, Samson Chan.
It's quicker. But then unfortunately when I passed Jeffrey in T4 and 5, he hit me on the rear and then I had a puncture, so I had to come in.
Closing stages of round 5, and it really was fast and furious. The Aston Martin of Frank Yu just about holding off Mok Win-sung in the McLaren. McLaren looking up the inside here and a slight nudge. Frank Yu holding on, only just.
But there were a couple of moments because of the back markers, but made it very good for the spectators, I guess.
And there was a twist at the end. The checkered flag dropping for Frank Yu, his first win. Stefan Muka delighted with that. But a 30-second penalty for the 007. And that means that the McLaren takes its first win in Asia to Mok Win-sung.
A win is a win, but I would have preferred to have beaten the Aston on the circuit rather than having them get that pit stop infringement. But anyway, we're still happy to deliver the win for McLaren.
In the GTM class, it was the number 21, Francis Hsieh, taking victory. And Hamaguchi and Mok Win-sung celebrate their win in GT3. On then to round 6. Quick stretch, the obligatory photograph. And then onto the grid. Second race of the weekend, always a little bit more competitive. Exception once again. Round 6 starting off, Aston Martin right in the centre. Good start by the Audis and the McLaren on the outside as they head to the right-hander. Very tight start indeed. Look at this, 3 abreast into the first corner. Li Zikong's view obscured by both dust and 3 cars. Plenty of overtaking in the early stages.
I could have stayed in that position, but I didn't want any big accident to happen, so to him. So I gave him room and he passed, and while doing that, the Porsche got me as well. So it was all right.
Good advice, but you've got to get it right. This one not going to plan. As Philip Ma and Tangku Haman come together, everybody else has to take avoiding action. Unfortunately, one of the Ferraris spinning out in the background. Naru from Japan losing out. Out came the safety car with debris on the track, but for some, that race was over.
Today was a very disappointing day. Tire blew up right before the braking point of first corner.
With the safety car gone and a restart, Frank Yu gets into problems and goes wide.
I think I picked up some debris during the safety car laps, and I had a little off on turn 5, which is a very high speed corner.
Pit stop window open, in comes Hamaguchi, and likewise the Aston Martins, very efficient here. Good driver changeover. Marchi Lee replaces Jeffrey Lee in the R8. And out goes Stefan Muka. How about this for the battle for the lead? Marchi Lee holding off Alex Young, but only just. Great battle between these two great drivers from Asia. Good stint by Honda to give Alex Young the car. Then Stefan Muka gets involved in the action, touching the back of Alex Young here. And look at this, smoke pouring out of the back of the Audi. But would he hold on to the finish? Alex Young in big trouble. Marchi Lee would claim their first victory. Alex Young would hold off the Aston Martin. Marchi Lee taking the victory in round 6. And everyone delighted, especially Honda and his team, for finishing second, despite being hit from behind. We heard earlier in the program how Marchi Lee's enjoying being with the Audi team. Now he's brought them to victory.
And finally we've done the job. I have to thank you for Audi. Thank you for GT Asia, which is making the race improving. That's what I see.
A well-deserved victory then for Marchi Lee and his teammate Jeffrey Lee. Team Audi R8 LMS Ultra climbing up the board in the championship after 6 rounds. In GTM, Wayne Shen, recovering from that black flag in round 5, wins for round 6. So, on to the racing for Sepang, and as always, in Kuala Lumpur, there's always a strong chance of rain. And sure enough, for first qualifying, it was wet. But these sorts of conditions are perfect for Hong Kong's global star, Darrell Young. He thrives on them. And although he's new to Aston Martin, he was the fastest in these wet conditions. A brilliant lap by him in very, very tough circumstances. And he comes across the line with a 2:24.
For P1 it was very tight, but to have pole position is very good for the team.
And as Hideki Honda watched on, his teammate and former Formula 1 star Alex Young was setting him out, getting the front row start once again for Team R8 LMS.
So to get second and almost get first, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that.
And just behind and still learning his way at Ford, but he's fast in any car, the flying Kiwi Earl Bamber.
A little bit interesting, he didn't get good track position, but still managed to pull a lap, so starting third this afternoon is going to be great.
On then to Q2 and much better conditions to set fast times in. In fact, a slight breeze, but perfectly dry as the cars headed out for qualifying 2. And straight away, Li Zikong in the Porsche was scything his way through the traffic here at turn 4. But the conditions weren't perfectly dry and Samson Chan chose the wrong tyres.
I made a decision after one lap to change to slicks, and then I went out, but it was so slippery, and then I spun, so it's really disappointing.
Marchi Lee watched on as his teammate Jeffrey Lee was on inspired form in the Audi, posting a brilliant P2. Meanwhile, Pascal Taurus had to settle in the Ferrari for P3, but another good time of 2:26.1. But the pole was a brilliant 2:21.715, and that went to Li Zikong in the Porsche.
Today we got a bigger restrictor, so the car is a little bit faster on the straight line, so the lap time is coming faster.
Disappointment though for our featured drivers this week, Hiroshi Hamaguchi and his teammate Mok Wen-sung. Their Clearwater Racing team could only manage 9th place overall, a big disappointment.
I think we start from P11 in race 1 and P9 in race 2, so that's a record for us. I think that's the lowest starting position ever, so we'll have to fight our way through. We'll see. Hope it's dry this afternoon.
Well, one thing's for sure, qualifying 2 gave all the drivers plenty to talk about with their technicians and team managers. Look back at round 7 and 8. Perfect conditions for a full field lining up for a rolling start for round 7. The Aston Martin in pole position of Darrell Young away well, but look at the Audi of Alex Young coming alongside, in fact past him into turn 1, but Darrell Young, just like Alex, knows the circuit well and knows that he can use turn 2 to his advantage. Roe Charles right there in the traffic at turn 2 with work to do for Clearwater Racing. Good battles throughout. Li Zikong, the McLarens trying to side their way through. Earl Bamber making up places and fighting hard early on. Honda happy to cheer on his teammate Alex Young as Darrell Young sets the fastest lap of 2:08.377, pulling away for Craft Racing and looking very comfortable indeed in that Aston Martin. Meanwhile, look at this battle. Li Zikong side by side with Passin Latoris in the Ferrari as they head towards turn 4. Two young, fast drivers, one from China, one from Thailand, but it's the Ferrari that wins out this time into turn 4.
Tires is getting a little bit overheat. Maybe it's because the tire pressure is not very consistency.
At the pit stop, trouble for the leaders. Darrell Young trying to direct traffic as Frank Yu tries to excavate himself from the pit lane and around the other cars, but eventually does get out. Frank Yu on the second stint. Likewise, Alex Young gets a rest as Honda gets into the car. Good battle from Tanku Haman and Mot Wen Sung in 7th place. The McLaren going through to 6th place. And Philip Ma just behind and Jeffrey Lee in 9th place. And the McLaren did make up some places as the race went on, as we'd expected. It was the qualifying that let them down. And Darrell Young pushing his team and Aston Martin forward. Tanku Haman Sulong spun round for Clearwater Racing and out of contention. Meanwhile at the front, Frank Yu was also under pressure as he comes across the back marker here. Look at Passin Latoris in the Ferrari, who uses this advantage brilliantly to scythe his way into the lead and pass Frank Yu. And then the worst was to follow as Frank Yu takes his eye off the ball and spins round.
He was trying to go left and then right, and then cost the lead. And because the line, he basically pushed me on the grass.
Well, that allowed Passin Latoris to take the checkered flag with ease. What a debut for this Team AF course. And it has been a brilliant performance by all of the team in the 458. Dad was there to greet Passin. Just 19 years of age, this young Thai. What a future he's got with Ferrari in any form of motorsport. But Passin Latoris wins round 7. On then to our review of round 8, also held, of course, at Sepang. Similar conditions to round 7. The championship hotting up now with 2 rounds at Zhuhai and, of course, the famous Macau Grand Prix to come. Li Zikong, though, in the pole this time, leads them into the first corner, chased hard by Passin Latoris, the Audi on the outside of turn 1. On board with Passin as he goes for the lead early on. He isn't messing about, is he? The Thai straight into the lead with the lights blaring. Latoris leads from Li Zikong. Jeffrey Lee in trouble in 3rd. And a very animated Alex Young cheering his teammate on. Oh, and into turn 4 and problems for the number 7. Philippe Decombe, not sure what to make of that. Battles throughout. This is Su Luk Young in 7th place in the Porsche against Wayne Shen. Honda just behind in the Audi. And they both went past it in that little incident. And a coming together between the Audi and the Porsche. And, well, hard to call. Wayne Shen and Honda coming together. Honda getting the best of it. But then going wide at turn 1 and then coming back and touching again at turn 2. And that spun the Porsche round Shen out of contention.
And then I had a little incident at T2. So that kind of wiped out my the gap that I built up. Then I tried again after that, but it was a little bit too late, not enough laps.
As for McLaren, things went from bad to worse. Hiroshi Hamaguchi in real trouble here, having just got in the car. He didn't make a lap.
That was the shortest race I've ever done, for sure. I couldn't make a lap. Well, this is racing too.
Great battle here for 3rd place. Darrell Young in 4th in the Aston Martin, just behind Li Zikong. Jinx to the inside at 9 and cleanly through. Darrell Young showing his racecraft there. Frank Yu being complimented on his stint. Meanwhile, Lamborghinis, Audis and Fords all at it. Alex Young scything his way again at turn 9, having a great fun battle and dice there, but that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it was good. It was good dice. You know, had to make some good moves.
That's what racing's about. That's what I enjoy racing.
But no one could deny the perfect weekend for the 458 Ferrari of Passin, Latourus and AF Corsa, who take another win, back-to-back wins. What a way to enter the championship, and yes, they were celebrating, and quite rightly so. Jackie Young also celebrating GTM, but GT3 is all Ferrari.
Congratulations to the team. We had a very good pit stop, perfect timing, everything, and it's a really good weekend.
Pretty good weekend also in the GTM class, with former Formula 3 champion from Japan, Carlo Van Dam, winning for Team Tiger Racing with Jackie Young. Welcome to southern China, to the port town of Zhuhai, which is as the championship gets down to the business end of rounds 9 and 10. Even though it's all smiles, the pressure is on as they limber up now to go qualifying here. Erebus entering into the championship with their beautiful SLS AMG Mercedes. Will it be a match for McLaren and Aston Martin as we go on to qualifying? Qualifying 1, well, in fact, it was Porsche that stepped up with the home man, Li Zikongs, 19 years of age and flying around the Zhuhai circuit in impressive style to take the pole in qualifying 1. Li Zikong needing the points.
Yes, in qualifying I get 1 more points and it's more closer, and I think I will try my best. Hope I got good luck. Yeah.
Good result also for Earl Bamber and the number 5 Ford GT3, taking second place and a front row start.
Pretty hard. It's his home circuit, so we're trying to get a really good result for him. So to be on the front rows, I think it's fantastic.
Erebus had a good showing, 6th for Mika Hakkinen and 3rd for Lance David Arnold. And in 4th place, Stefan Muka, taking the Aston Martin into contention yet again.
My fast left was affected by yellow flag, unfortunately. There would have been a quicker time in it. Not a lot, but probably enough to be in the first row.
On then to qualifying 2 and near perfect conditions again. And Aston Martin would definitely be a factor, but Erebus starting to learn their way as the Mercedes starting to come through the pack. The number 63 of Lance David Arnold. Very strong run.
And yeah, I mean, our goal was to be in the first or second row. Now in the first race we are on the second row. In the second race we are on the first row, so I'm really happy and looking forward for the races.
The McLaren 12C of Mok Wen-sun started the weekend 3rd overall, but 5th best with 136.2 was the best they could muster. Still struggling with overall setup.
We're still struggling a little bit with setup, but not quite there. The car was decent to drive today, but we had quite a bit of turn-in understeer. So we're losing quite a bit of time compared to the other cars.
Also struggling with setup was Audi this weekend. 6th place overall, the best that Jeffrey Lee and Marchie Lee could muster as they lead the team's championship.
The same problem with yesterday. I had an oversteer. It was the last corner, so yeah, wasn't too happy with the qualifying. I was a little disappointed, really. Yeah.
On then to the highlights of round 9 from Zhuhai. 4 drivers going for the championship, 3 teams going for the team's championship, and the arrival of Erebus and Mika Hakkinen. Now you want pressure. As always, a rolling start, and Mika Hakkinen may have started 5th, but look at him come through behind Earl Bamber, who was also vying with Li Zikong. Mika Hakkinen weaving his way through. The Aston Martin on the outside has to go wide, and Earl Bamber dives into the lead. Hakkinen takes 2nd place.
But the red light was still on, and when it changed, I was just like a rocket. And I got a great start, so I came out of the first corner, 2nd place, and I said, yeah, brilliant.
Never a dull moment with Mika Hakkinen as Earl Bamber continues to lead at the front, chased by Hakkinen. Li Zikong, though, in trouble. Look at him, the Aston Martin and the Audi going past here.
And the car, the left rims is damaged, and that's why I slow down a bit, and I just want...
And there was plenty more drama behind. The Aston Martin and the McLaren going either side there of the Porsche. Wry smile from Frank Yu on the pit lane as Earl Bamber tries to pull away from Mika Hakkinen and Lance Arnold in the Mercedes.
He tried to pull a gap, but I mean, he was really, really quick, and it was a pleasure to race against him, actually. To be called on the radio, oh, you've got Mika Hakkinen behind you, try and pull a gap. Oh, okay.
Yes, I'm sure that's not something he expected to hear his whole career on the radio, but there it is, Mika Hakkinen in the mirrors as the Mercedes got closer and closer. As for Audi, problems for Alex Young, he was in early.
Stefan tried to overtake the Porsche and outbraked himself and went straight to the side of me and broke my wheel.
Also problems for Lance David Arnold, the Erebus Motorsport man, pulling out early with a mechanical problem. The safety car came out.
We have a mechanical problem, so we have to analyze now.
Meanwhile, Mika Hakkinen swaps with Matthew Solomon as they're still in second place as Earl Bammer continues at the front for Ford. Another problem for Alex Young, into the gravel goes Roe Charles and Alex Young. Whose fault then?
I think that was just a racing accident though. I don't think he was alongside me enough, but I think he thinks he was alongside me enough.
Neither of us gave way. I was 3/4 alongside, and we just touched into turn 10.
I don't think he was alongside me enough and put us both out of the spot right then. So it's a bit unfortunate.
Both went up.
Never an easy walk back to the pit lane. Tuku Haman Sulong, Clearwater Racing, coming in as we go on board with Frank Yu, who went overboard and into the gravel. Not at the right time or the right place for Craft Racing. Leading the championship, remember, and it all goes up in dust.
My disc just completely exploded. So I had no brakes whatsoever and went straight in turn 11.
So with the Aston Martin out, the battle was on at the front between the changeover drivers Matthew Solomon and Samson Chan. Chan trying to hold off Solomon for as long as he could, but then they both went wide. An aggressive move by the youngster. That put Matthew Solomon and Erebus into the lead, heading for home.
And Young went down the inside and didn't really expect Samson to really to veer into the corner.
I didn't see him in the mirror actually. I didn't see him. I saw no car. So I was just driving and then all of a sudden, boom.
And that was the tale of round 9 as Erebus win in their first outing, taking the checkered flag, just 17 years of age. And the man there to greet him, Mika Hakkinen, who played his role right from the very start. Samson Chan crossing the line, not far behind, but what a way for Mika Hakkinen and Matthew Solomon to make their debut. As we move on now to the highlights of round 10. Once again the rolling start, and once again it was the Mercedes at the front. Being pushed hard though also by the Aston Martin, who pushed a little too hard, and round went Frank Yu. 007 getting it wrong for Craft Racing.
I tapped the leading Mercedes a little bit because I mean I ran out of brake zone. So I think after I tapped it, the car got a little bit upset. And at the same time, I started getting on the power, and the tail just came out.
You know, he touched Lance, and so I just slowed down, kept it calm, turned it, boom, and got into the lead. It was that was a good start.
Well, that smile didn't last long because look at Lance David Arnold. Didn't take long for the second Mercedes to come through after his mechanical issues. Into the lead he went. As the team watched on, he was still leading at the pit stop as well. No luck though for Ford this time. Earl Bamber having problems right from the get-go in the first lap.
Our car felt brilliant on the out lap, and then unluckily in the first left we just broke a drive shaft, so it felt like a puncture.
But he wasn't the only one. Erebus would also have their problems. Lance David Arnold slowing down after streaking surely to victory. It wasn't to be. Much to the glee though of those watching on and of the teams chasing. The Mercedes was out. Li Zikong picks up the lead.
I have no idea what happened today again. It was strange. The car was going off and it started again. When it happens in the beginning, it's okay, but in the last lap, it's really hard. But that's racing, eh?
Then in the dying seconds, there was more drama. The Porsche leading away, McLaren in second place, Mika Hakkinen up the inside, but he lunges too hard, and the Mercedes goes wide, and Mika's luck runs out, and the Ferrari goes in front of him as well. And Motwinson can't believe their luck.
It's no point to just drive behind the other car and relax. It's always, for racing drivers, it's the idea attack, and learn from your mistakes.
Classic philosophy from the maestro as ever, but it's Li Zikong who crosses the line and takes the checkers to win round 10, an important one, and one that delighted the home fans. Li Zikong, the most popular man at the Zhuhai circuit for sure. Congratulations to him, and that really has done no harm to him, team, Philippe Decombe, Great result for them. Well done to Pasan Latoris also getting on the podium. They say save the best till last, and that's exactly what GT Asia did in the final round at Macau. The Macau Grand Prix celebrating its 60th year, and for a race that was started in 1954 with the world's best sports cars of their time, it seems appropriate that 60 years on, they do the same again. Leading them away, the German Marco Engel in the Mercedes SLS AMG. Behind that, Mortara in the Audi. Mr. Macau. Then the first of our regulars, Stefan Muka, almost coming together with Mortara in the first corner. Look at that. Luckily, both of them survived. And amazingly, they made it 3 abreast into Lisboa and out, everybody safely through. We go on board with Kurosawa though. Hijinks though between the Aston Martin and the Porsche. Earl Bamber spun round, thrown into the wall, and of course, completely destroyed that beautiful car. And of course, the safety car had to come out at that point. A lot of debris as well on the track. That would lead to punctures. Typical Macau, no surprise. You get a tunnel-like street race in these big sports cars. What a shame to see that beautiful McLaren of Mot Wen-sung out of both contention for the championship and the Macau Grand Prix.
Obviously upset and disappointed that couldn't finish the championship in the right way, right? Came all the way to Macau hoping to have a good drive and to have to go out in lap 1 is obviously very disappointing. But anyway, it's been an eventful year. I'll be definitely back next year, hopefully having a smoother drive through the course of the year, especially in Macau.
Backmarkers getting out of the way, and look at this ferocious battle as they head down towards Fisherman's. 3 wide here, something had to give. And sure enough, Danny Watts coming from nowhere, 4th place to Watts, 2nd, and Mortara hitting the front. Imperatori starting the lead, going into that corner, dropping to 3rd in just a matter of meters. Checkered flag then, and Mortara does it again. An incredible victory for Edoardo Mortara of Italy. But more importantly, Li Zikong in the Porsche comes across the line in GT Asia. Finishes the race and wins the championship. With Mot Wen-sung out, it was his championship in 2013. Congratulations to Edoardo Mortara though. Mr. Macau does it again for Audi. And there is Li Zikong. Congratulations to him, a deserved winner. The youngster from China has had a brilliant season. Confirmation then of the Drivers' Championship points after the best of 9 scores, and it's Li Zikong with 143 points ahead of Frank Yu with 132, Mot Wen-sung 129, Jeffrey Lee, then Stefan Muka in 5th place coming back from that injury. In the Teams' Championship, Team R8 LMS Ultra win 236. What a brilliant comeback. They didn't start well. They eventually beat Clearwater Racing and Craft Racing 206 and 188.
This race is the last race, and we still challenging the points, and just a few 2-3 points to gain. Yeah, so for me it's very important race and very high pressure. Yeah, I'm very happy. 2013 I can win the championship. So I thank you my team, and thank you my coach Philip and my family.
Well, the season has been challenging because, as you know, we are a team which are using on each car 1 real gentleman driver and a pro. So sometimes it's a bit difficult to compete with drivers which are driving by themselves. Yeah? But I must say they did a very good job. They improved a lot during the season. The pro driver really helped, like Alex Young, Marchilli, and finally we won the team championship. So it's like a great collective effort.
A fitting end then at Macau to what has been a brilliant season of racing in GT Asia. And we'll do it all again in 2014. 8 months of grueling racing, starting in the wet of Motegi and ended in the sunshine of Macau. Congratulations to all the winners. We'll be back again next year. Until then, from me, Jonathan Green, goodbye for now.
Yeah, brilliant.